A Pearl Harbor survivor was found this week in squalid conditions at his home in El Cajon. When authorities arrived, Arnold Max Bauer was dehydrated and disoriented, holding a photo of the ship he served on in 1941. He was taken to the VA for medical care. Bauer was interviewed for a Nova documentary about the attack on Pearl Harbor. The 93-year-old's bank alerted authorities after checks totaling thousands of dollars were written from his account. His living caregiver, Milagros Angeles, was arrested on 2 felony elder abuse charges involving theft and harm. She pleaded not guilty to the charges. San Diego County handles approximately 9,000 cases of elder and dependent adult abuse each year. With me to discuss the problem is Paul Greenwood. He's Deputy District Attorney for San Diego and heads the Elder Abuse Protection Unit. Now, your office handles about 9,000 cases each year.
Well, actually, no, that would come into Adult Protective Services, and many of those cases would be cases of self-neglect, which is not a crime, obviously, and they filter it down and cross-report several hundred cases to law enforcement, so then they filter it through, and we end up prosecuting approximately about 230 to 235 felony cases every year of elder or dependent adult abuse.
And of those cases, what's typical? What are we actually looking at?
Well, they cover a wide spectrum from physical abuse, slapping. The typical scenario is a wayward son who lives with his elderly parent and punches and violently hurts an elderly parent, to emotional abuse, to false imprisonment, and then you get into the whole area of financial exploitation of elders, which can be perpetrated by so many different individuals.
Is there a trend? I mean, who's the typical abuser?
You can't really pinpoint, particularly with financial exploitation, because they can range from financial planners, realtors, the next-door neighbor, someone from the church. They come in all shapes and sizes, caregivers. Unfortunately, elders with money are targets. On the physical abuse side, typically they do tend to be a family member, like a son or a grandson or a granddaughter, who is addicted to either drugs, alcohol, or gambling, steals from grandma or mother or father, and then when the theft is discovered by the elderly victim, there's a confrontation, and that's when the violence begins.
Is there a typical victim? Is there a typical victim, male, female?
Well, most of our victims, well, about 65–70% are female widows. And again, whether it's female or male, it's typically somebody living alone whose own immediate family are not close by. And unfortunately, the perpetrators can identify that type of victim and move in on them because they feel that there is less chance of being reported by a neighbor or a close friend or a relative.
Which brings me to the next question. If you have a family member or a loved one living far away who's a senior, what can you do to protect that person?
Well, you certainly need to get more involved. Even though you live far away, constant phone calls to that family. And if you suspect that maybe something is different in their speech pattern or in their behavior or their daily routines, to contact somebody that you know that elderly relative is associated with, maybe their own social structure, maybe a good friend, a neighbor who can keep an eye on them. And the last resort, of course, is don't hesitate to call the local Adult Protective Services here. We have a wonderful agency in the county that will be happy to assist and make references and even make a house call if they are concerned enough that maybe some abuse is going on.
And what is the procedure for following up? If you suspect something, what should you do? Well,
here in San Diego, it's a very easy number, 1-800-510-2020, for any member of the public watching tonight. And the beauty is they don't have to reveal who they are. They can remain anonymous unless they are what is called a mandated reporter by law. But typically a member of the public, if they at all have a gut feeling that an elderly neighbor down the street or a friend is being victimized, pick up that phone, call Adult Protective Services, give them the name and address and hopefully the age of the alleged victim, and APS will then take care of the rest.
The people who are charged with these crimes and convicted, what penalties do they face?
Well, on a straightforward elder abuse conviction as a felony, the upper term is 4 years in state prison. But of course, it all depends on the severity of the crime, whether the defendant has a prior criminal record, and whether there are any other aggravating features that go along with the crime.
So there are. Thank you very much, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Peggy.
Okay.